And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman, Donny Nadeau, the Sports Information Director for St. Mary's. And this week, our feature is women's hockey. Last week, we featured the men's hockey program. This week, it is women's hockey. And we have Julie Bartosz on the program today, the lone senior on the squad, so we'll get to that. Also, the head coach for the women's hockey team, Terry Mannor, joining us. So thanks for being on the program. Julie, I had to triple check the roster, the lone senior on the squad. What's that feel like?
It's really odd. I can't believe I'm the only one. It's been quite a ride, though. It's been a lot of fun.
That just means you have extra responsibilities, like appearing on this program, right?
Yes.
But you're from Mokina, Illinois. You're a double major, Spanish and public relations. So tell us, in your younger days back in Illinois, how you got started in hockey and then how you ended up coming to St. Mary's.
I actually got started because my brother plays hockey as well as my other cousins, and I was the first in-house female team at my home rink. And then from there I grew up with through the AAA program as they came up, and I heard of St. Mary's through the women's hockey program.
So, and you're also a double sport athlete. You're a catcher on the softball team. So, you know, St. Mary's, of course, as it does with other athletes, giving you a chance to play both. So that probably factored into your decision a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, that was one of the main things. My academics came first, but it was nice knowing that I didn't have to choose only one sport to play.
Well, Coach, I know last year Donny and I talked a lot about how young your team was, but I was surprised when I looked at the roster. She's the only senior on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're very young. When she was a freshman, I think there was, 4 others. But for various reasons, one left for academic reasons, one left for family reasons, one got injured playing another sport, so can't play anymore. So it's trickled down to Julie, and she's done a fantastic job.
Yeah. Talk a little bit, Terry, we'll put Julie on the spot a little bit here, but talk a little bit about her maturation from her freshman year to now heading into her final year with the Cardinals.
You know, honestly, I think it's simply her skills. They've matured immensely through the 4 years. As a coaching staff the other day, we were talking that she's playing the best she's ever played, which is huge for us. Having a solid three solid centers, and it's great for us right now.
How about from your standpoint, Julie? I'm sure you probably haven't put a lot of thought into the fact that this is your last go-around with this team, but talk a little bit about how things have changed for you. Maybe the games have become easier after that freshman year to your adjustment and heading into the senior year.
Like Coach said, it was just like I feel like I've come a long way. My freshman year, I feel like I was lucky to make the team, and now to be the only senior, it's crazy. I don't think I would have, if you would have told me there was only one senior freshman year, I wouldn't have guessed it would have been me, just because we had so much talent that freshman year, and I can't believe I'm the only one.
How about from a leadership standpoint, being the only senior, talk a little bit about what you can give to, especially the freshmen, because you've been in that position. What do you tell them? What kind of advice do you give them in terms of getting ready for this year?
Just emphasizing the work ethic, and they have to know that it's the little things that count. It doesn't matter if you're always out there, as long as you're out there for that 30 seconds a game working as hard as you can. That's what counts most.
And Terry, Julie strikes me as a lead-by-example type of person. And one of the things you said really struck me, that she has really sort of upped her game this year. So it's not just that leadership in the locker room, which I know you can count on Julie for, but it's also out on the ice where it seems like she's excelling this year.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, she's very much a leader by example. You know, if sophomores or freshmen will say, I don't have time to do it, well, you know what, look at Julie. Yeah. She's a two-sport athlete. She's involved in 50 different things on campus. You have time. You have to find time. So, I mean, she obviously on the ice helps in her leadership, but off ice it's even more.
Right. Julie, can you talk a little bit about that? How do you juggle the schedule you do? Because you really don't have any downtime. You've got fall ball in the fall, and then you've got hockey throughout the winter, and then as soon as hockey's done, you're right into softball, plus the double major, plus all the volunteer stuff that you do.
She's in charge of the Cardinal newspaper
yes,
on
it's
campus
just
too.
Crazy. Just how do you juggle everything and make sure that you do everything to the best of your ability?
Well, I always know what I have to do and just stay on top of that. But I really enjoy all the things that I'm involved in, so it's not like it's extra work. It's stuff that I enjoy doing, so the time's worth it.
I have a bit of an advantage in this interview because I'm Julie's academic advisor at St. Mary's. Julie is highly prioritized, that I can tell you, and so I think that's a good example to the freshmen of how you balance everything. Just a lot of priorities and very, very well organized. But,
very well organized.
Yeah.
But I think it does say a lot to everybody, whether it be a hockey player or not, in that you can do other things. You can be involved in a lot of things. There is enough time in the day to make sure that that all happens.
Yeah, it's challenging sometimes, but as long as you enjoy what you're doing, it's worth it.
Terry, let's take a look at your first two games. 1-1 on the season now. You started last weekend. This weekend you have off, and then you'll go again next weekend. But that first game, a bit of a disappointment. Your team played well and had a third period lead, but ended up losing that one by a few goals.
Yeah, I said to the assistant coaches, if you're around the game long enough, you're going to see everything. That was one of those things where I'd never seen before. To give up 5 goals in a matter of 6 minutes, 9 seconds, unheard of. Obviously, I was very disappointed, but in looking at the goals on film, I was actually happy they happened because they're great teachable moments. And also happy it wasn't a conference game.
Right.
But having it be the first game, it showed us that if we don't take care of our responsibilities, we're going to lose, plain and simple. And we came out the next day and played extremely good compared to the Friday game.
Talk a little bit about the bounce back against Concordia, Wisconsin, because like you said, very disappointing in that third period. They score 5 goals, and yet you turn around on Saturday against Concordia, Wisconsin, and really play probably a solid game from start to finish. Mentally, the team must have been focused and ready to go because it would have been easy for them to kind of feel sorry for themselves for what happened on Friday, and yet they didn't.
Yep. They were very focused. We spent a half hour before their off-ice warm-up going over all 5 of those goals that St. Norbert scored on us and why they happened. I think it got them a little more focused. As far as moving our feet and stuff, again, tenfold. The game Saturday was closer than it appeared. We had 2 empty net goals at the end. One of them was, backhand golf shot from our zone that just happened to find its way. But, I mean, the game was closer on the scoreboard, but I think we definitely deserve that win.
Julie, we're only a few games in now. What's one of the areas that you see this year's team really picking up on well right off the bat here?
The girls really get along, so I think that'll play a huge role in our success, and just keeping each other motivated to keep pushing each other.
Right, right. Yeah, certainly team chemistry always important. And this year too, Coach, you have 2 reliable goaltenders that you can go to. Sarah Gustafson returns again this year, and she started that first game. And then you have a freshman goaltender this year as well.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully we can keep Tori for 4 years and Sarah for another year. We've had some bad luck with goalies, whether it be concussions that they can't play anymore, or one of the goalies was her classmate who transferred for academic reasons. We lost another goalie who just dropped out of school. So hopefully, keep fingers crossed that both stay healthy and both stay in school.
Well, and that certainly plays into the team chemistry thing that Julie talked about, because the defensemen, they've got to be on the same page, and if there's always new goalies back there and this and that, that's tough to do.
Oh, very much so. But with Sarah and Tori, we feel very confident in both of them.
Let's move up a little bit to the blue line then. Defensively, can you talk a little bit about where you're at, who we should be looking for that are standing out defensively?
All of our returners are looking very, very good. Riley Brown was struggling with some injuries early on, so she's, as far as conditioning goes, she's not where the others are. We have 2 freshmen in Letourneau and Fadness who are exceptional. They're very, very good. Once they get more experience, they're going to be very, very solid. As far as a skill standpoint, this is probably the deepest our defensive corps has been in the 8 years I've had the program. Does it mean they're going to be really, really good defensemen? Who knows? But they're very skilled.
Lost a lot of offense from last year on graduation. Talk a little bit about who is back and who we can be. Dean and I will be talking about in weeks to come in terms of sparking that offense.
Right. Well, obviously, Haley Coolsett, Bree Peterson coming back. They're going to be, I think they were 2 and 3 last year in scoring last year. Bree's already got 4 points in 2 games, so I mean she's on tap. I think a couple of freshmen you're going to be looking at is McKenna Parent and Katie Ellenfeld. They're going to be stepping it up good. And we got a couple other freshmen, too, that are going to be workhorses. I don't expect them to score much, but they're not going to get scored on much. So,
we've talked a lot off camera this year that this is a very deep team for you. It may be young, a lot of freshmen that are in the lineup with, again, you being the only senior, but depth-wise, this might be one of the deepest, most talented teams you've had in a while.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. Our top 3 lines are very, very solid, very, very equal in many ways. What we're lacking is that, and I challenged them actually last Saturday, we're lacking that one go-to person. Nicole Olson was our leading scorer the past 3 years in a row, and she was tied for 33rd in the conference last year. So there's 32 people that score more than her, and that's what we're lacking right now. So hopefully we'll step it up and people will do that.
You talked about your top 3 lines. Due to the fact that you're playing so many younger players, are you still figuring out who you want to play with who and what lines you're going to be? Or are you pretty much set there?
Right now we're pretty happy. There's a couple of players that we're thinking about moving around for various reasons, but right now we're pretty happy with the lines.
Okay.
You always look at last weekend as a chance to just kind of get an idea of where you're at in terms of conditioning, in terms of skill level. Nice to have this weekend off so that you can kind of work through 2 weeks before you open up conference next week?
Oh, it's very nice. And just going through and doing different system things out there. Like on Friday, we had a 4-on-3 power play. Well, we hadn't even talked about what to do in that situation. So there's still a lot of things that we got to do. We got to work on 4-on-4, 5-on-3. So it's having this weekend off, it's going to give us opportunity to get everything in that we want to get in.
What's your practice schedule like? How much do you practice? Do you have some off days in there to give them a little bit of a break?
For every 7 days, you have to give them 1 off day when classes are in session. Okay. So typically what we'll do is practice Monday through Thursday, play Friday, Saturday, take Sunday off. This week, given it different, we're doing a little bit differently because we're not practicing Saturday, but we are going to practice Sunday, so they get their Saturday off, their 1 day off. We've been going about 2 hours on ice and then about 45 minutes off ice every day. So it's demanding on them, but
right. Julie, as you kind of look ahead here, what from the seniors' perspective, what would you like to see be some team goals this year? And maybe you could even incorporate some things that that the team has talked about in that regard.
We haven't talked too much about it, but it would be really nice to get back in the playoffs. I think we have enough talent to get there, and so if we just keep pushing ourselves, I think it's a great possibility, and it'd be something really awesome to do for the program and for the university.
Right. And how about from the players' perspective? Donnie had asked Coach about this week off here. Do you see that as a big advantage as a player?
Yeah, it's nice to have more time to go through things since we are a young team. That way players can just get used to the systems and get a little bit more time of practice in there.
Sure. And Terry, as far as the conference goes, it's always a great Division III conference for hockey, the MIAC. Who are some of the teams that you expect to be on top again this year?
Gustavus, obviously. Everybody expects them to be on top. Outside of that, honestly, it's a coin flip from who takes second and who takes 10th. Sure. I mean, the teams are so close. All the teams are getting better every year. So it's literally is a coin flip. I mean, last year we went to overtime 8 times. So that's...
I was hoping we could talk about last year a little bit in that you went into overtime 8 times, but you also had 6 ties, school record for ties. Talk a little bit about what, as a coach, how do you make that next leap so that those close games like that are no longer ties or even 1-goal losses, but are wins?
If I knew that, I'd make a lot of money. Obviously, just taking advantage of our opportunities. That's something that we didn't do all the time last year. Bearing down in front of the net. Little things like that. And in the defensive zone, taking care of your responsibility. And which Friday, what we saw when one person doesn't take care of the responsibility, 5 goals. So it's just the little things and pounding that into their head.
And that's where having that go-to person would occasionally help anyway. So,
very much so.
Just about out of time for this segment. I want to ask Julie one more question, though. Julie, a lot of people don't know your mother is a tremendous cake pop maker. Tell us more about that and what the family secret is for that. Let us in on the family secret.
I don't know what her secret is, but I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, so I'm from kind of far away from home. My sister's a freshman this year at school, and so she's kind of home alone. And she's finding a way to keep herself busy, making cake pops and cookies as well. Yeah. And it's just something that she enjoys too, and so it's like a crafty hobby, something to keep her busy.
They're very creative, and they're even more delicious, quite frankly. Does she make them for the team occasionally?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was at the games this weekend, so she gave me some to take home.
Yeah, all right.
Custom cookies.
Does Coach Mannor demand them? Is that one of the prerequisites for?
No, he doesn't even eat them.
Gotta watch my weight.
Well, I don't, so. All right, Julie Bartosz, Terry Mannor, thanks for being on the show today, and
Thank you.
good luck here the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Donny and I will be back to recap the past week in St. Mary's sports right after this here on HBC.
We're a small town store. Everything relies on our internet, our pumps, our registers, everything. So we need somebody that is willing to go that extra mile for us. Jill is awesome. She is very personable. When we call them, they react to us as if we are top on their list. And to me, that is number one. I've had excellent service.
Call Jill and find out what excellent business service is like. So you know how some cable companies have these bundle deals where if you purchase their TV, telephone, and internet together, you save? At HBC, we're taking it one step further. Get your TV and phone service through HBC, and we'll give you internet absolutely free. That's right, free. And you still save money. Some packages can save you up to $660 a year, and it's all backed by our 30-day guarantee. The best part? Free internet is available to all customers, new and existing. Go to hbci.com to see which free internet package is right for you, or call 888-474-9995.
You know, we're doing things in bus magazines and the newspapers and things like that, and it's just like we seemed like we needed a different media, and we thought, you know, TV, perfect. Laura, she is awesome. She came out the first time. She was very, very personable, tends to your needs. I mean, anything that you needed, she was right there. I literally, seriously, have been wanting to make more commercials just because it was such a great, fun process. I would recommend HBC to anybody.
Call Laura for details on how to get a free commercial for your business.
Winona Homes was offered a deal from another company.
I switched to another company because they made some promises and I was going to get a better rate, so I switched.
But when she tried their deal, she ran into some issues.
The other company that I was with wasn't local. You couldn't even get somebody to come to your office.
At HBC, customer service is our #1 priority for your business. Let's just say Jenny is a lot happier now.
I have never had such fast customer service.
To see how HBC can help your business, call Melanie at 474-5802.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman along with our Sports Information Director at St. Mary's, Donny Nadeau, to recap the previous week in St. Mary's sports. We just featured the women's hockey team on our interview segment. And now, Donny, men's hockey started last weekend in the MIAC Showcase. And what a terrific way to open the season for Coach Bill Moore, winning in that first game over Bethel.
Yeah, a 7-2 win over Bethel was an outstanding way for them to get the season off and running. And you know, the reality of that game was at one point it was 7-0, and St. Mary's gave up a couple of late goals, but they controlled the game from start to finish. Got scoring from 6 different people, and I know one of the ironic things that Coach Moore talked about is the person that scored multiple goals in that game was a defenseman. So that's obviously good. Anytime that you can, you know, get a defenseman to score more than 1 goal in a game is great. And Bob Marks had 2 of those goals, and certainly a great way for them to get the season off and running. Unfortunately, against St. John's the following day, they weren't able to match that performance in an 8-1 loss. And you know, there's a lot of ways you can look at that 8-1 loss. And as I talked to Coach Moore after that, you know, he said the key right now is we got to put that game behind us. You know, not only was it great that we played well on Saturday and won 7-2, but you know, we made some mistakes on Sunday, but they're all things that we can certainly correct. And we need to learn from that and then put it behind us, because they have 2 big games this weekend that they can't afford to be feeling sorry for themselves in the 8-1 loss, and they can't feel too great about the 7-2 win, because there's still so much that they have to do and get ready for this weekend with 2 big non-conference games.
Yeah, going back to that 7-2 win, though, Donny, as you mentioned, 6 different players scoring, and one of those players was not the person who had a hat trick in the red-white game. So, I mean, they really have a lot of guys who can find the offense, and that's kind of the one thing that was lacking. So clearly that's been an emphasis this year for Coach Moore.
Absolutely, and we talked to Coach Mannor about the depth of his team and the talent of that depth. Well, Coach Moore's in the same boat. When he's got 4 lines that he can easily put any 4 line out there and expect good offensive production from. And I think that you need that if you're going to be successful. And you know, when he was on last week, he talked about the speed of this team and how fast they are. And boy, that was evident against Bethel that, you know, they took the ice and Bethel could not keep up with them. And they're going to have to utilize that. And it should come in handy this weekend against Superior and Scholastica, because you're playing on our rink, which is a little bit bigger than a normal sheet of ice, so there's going to be more room, which allows them to really get up and go. And I know that any chance they get to be on a big rink, they're going to make sure to utilize that speed.
Yeah. Now that loss then that they took last Saturday, Donnie, St. John's, one of the better teams in the conference, so and they were coming off a big loss themselves, so they were angry, and that all factors in. We were coming off a big win. They were coming off, I think, a surprisingly big loss, at least for them, what was a big loss.
Absolutely, and it's interesting, you know, Coach Moore was talking about it, and again, the one thing he's not going to do is make excuses for that 8-1 loss, but you look at the entire tournament, all 9 teams, only one team that had to play back-to-back days won both games, and that was Gustavus. You're right that St. John's took a tough loss against Bethel on Friday, but then they had Saturday off, and then they played us on Sunday, and so they actually had that day of rest and a chance to maybe fine-tune some things before they played St. Mary's, and St. Mary's played on Saturday and had to turn around again and play less than 24 hours later when they had to play St. John's. So certainly not an excuse, but you're right. There's a lot of factors that play into that weekend, and you know, we all have to do the same thing, and it's 2 games. And I think that if you would have told Coach Moore at the beginning that you'd finish 1-1 in the showcase and you'd head into Superior and Scholastica at 1-1, I think he would have taken that. Certainly he wants to be 2-0, and you know, was disappointed with the final outcome of that St. John's game, but you know, a lot of good things happened over the weekend, and he got some freshmen who got their feet wet and did some really good things. So I think he likes where they're at right now, and he's excited for this weekend for them to play at home and in front of their home crowd.
Yeah, Superior, Scholastica, Friday, Saturday night. Both games start at 7:30, Donnie, so if you want to come out to the SMU Ice Arena, great weekend to do it. And traditionally, these Wisconsin schools provide really good non-conference competition.
No question. They're coming out of the NCHA, and for those that follow collegiate hockey, the NCHA is, you know, predominantly one of the top teams or top conferences, along with the MIC in Division III hockey. The 2-time defending champion St. Norbert is out of the NCHA. So, you know, there's some great schools, and we've always played Scholastica and Superior tough. 2 great games last year against them, and I would expect nothing less again this weekend. It should be 2 real battles, and again, nice that we're at home, and I know everybody's excited about playing on their home ice and kind of showcasing what they've got to the home fans.
Well, Donnie, in cross-country action, the Central Regional, NCAA Central Regional competition, a few weeks away yet, but the MIAC Championships were last weekend, and a terrific showing by the men's squad led by Aaron Haley. We had Aaron on the program earlier, and he just picked up right where he left off. Didn't get below the sub-26 time like Coach said he is capable of. That might be a year off yet, but he's darn close at 26:03.
Yeah, 26:03 is a phenomenal time. We were talking on the last show that you know, he ran a 26 flat at the Jim Drews, and for him to turn in another solid performance like that, to finish 13th overall and earn all conference honors, is certainly an outstanding performance by him. And then you look at Jake Traxler and Peter Borash, who were 17th and 18th, earned honorable mention, all conference honors. Outstanding performance from the top 3 individuals. And I think that if you would have told Coach Barron, and this is the interesting part about it, if you would have told him that they'd have 3 people in the top 20 and not finish in the top 5 in the conference standings, he would have been shocked, because they did everything exactly the way he had hoped they would, and had to settle for 7th. But certainly he's very happy with those top 3 performances. Never before in his coaching tenure here have we had 3 people honored by the MIEC in terms of all conference and honorable mention. So a great performance from Aaron and Jake and Peter, and unfortunately 2 of those guys are graduating, but Aaron will pick up the torch you know, at the NCAA regionals, and those 3 should again be leading the way for the Cardinals.
Yep. Katie Stoles leading the women's squad at that championship match.
Yeah, good. It was, you know, Katie turned in a solid performance, as did all of the women. You know, Catherine Mockler posted her career best time, and so I think Coach Barron would have liked to have placed better as a team, but everybody turned in a solid PR or at least a season best time. So, you know, that's all you can ask as a coach, and I know that he's feeling pretty good about their performance, and he's looking forward to when they get to toe that line again at the Central Regional, because he knows that they can continue to improve.
Right.
As we've talked many times in cross country and in swimming, the key is being ready for that that end of the season, and they were ready for the MIAC, and I'll guarantee you in 2 weeks when they head to Northfield for the Central Regional, they'll be ready to go at it again.
Yeah, and if you're right, if you're setting personal records, there's nothing else you can do.
That's right. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Right.
And so you know, hats off to them. And again, you know, you've got to tip your hat to Aaron and Jake and Peter. They've had a great season this year, and they're finishing it in style, and that's what you want from them, is for them to be at their best when it counts the most. And all three of those were certainly there.
Right. Donnie, in volleyball, given all the injuries and turmoil, a good job to Mike Lester and the volleyball team. They end up 500 this year, 14-14, but wow, did that team go through a lot this year. And a great way for the seniors to go out by sweeping their last game at home.
Yeah, you look at that final match, and last Wednesday they played Carleton, and everything was on the line. They had a shot at making playoffs, and they lost that heartbreaker 3-2 to Carleton, which eliminated them from playoff contention, and yet they turn around on Saturday, and rather than being down in the dumps and kind of going through the motions, they absolutely just dominated Gustavus from start to finish. And so you certainly have to give Coach Lester credit for making sure that his team was ready to play, and then give credit to the players. You know, they went out there and they took care of business, and you know, certainly the only thing that was at stake was making sure that you sent your seniors off on a positive note, and they certainly did that. And then you've got to, you know, tip your hat to Lexi Asimos, St. Mary's first team All MIAC selection. Lexi had a great junior year. She had 816 assists this year. She eclipsed the 2,000 career assist mark, and the beauty of that is she's only a junior, so she gets to come back again. She did a really neat feature for us online. She did a day in the life video segment, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and we've got that posted on our website. But you know, a thank you to her, because that's not always an easy thing to do, and she really did a great job with it and had a great season. And you're right, for them to finish 14-14 is certainly a solid performance. I know heading into the season they all had aspirations of making the conference playoffs, but you know, they finished 5-6. They improved from last year. Last year they were 3-8. This year in the conference they were 5-6 with a chance to make it into the conference playoffs with a week to go. So they're right where they want to be, and I know Coach Lester and Jenna Ness are off on the recruiting trail already, and they're hitting the pavement, and they're going to just make themselves better as they head into next year.
And Donnie, finally in men's and women's soccer, both teams close out the season with losses, but that men's team weren't able to get to 500 this year in conference play, as they finished 4-6 with that 2-0 loss to Augsburg. 7-10-1 overall, vast improvements over previous years. So even though they lose that last one, get shut out, still a lot to be proud of.
You've got to tip your hat to Coach Watkins. In a conference like the MIAC, to put together a team like he did of predominantly freshmen and to play the way that they did is outstanding. You credit Coach Watkins, you can credit Drew Taylor, the assistant, and you can certainly credit the players, because everybody on that team bought into what Coach Watkins was talking about, you know, his philosophy and whatnot. You've got a lot of players that did a lot of things that you know, needed to be done for them to finish 7-10-1. That's a great season for them, considering where they were just 2 years ago. So certainly they certainly would like to be better. They certainly would like to be playing in the conference tournament, but for that next step, I think they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. And finally, Donnie, no Liz Flynn in swimming and diving this year, but they are starting this weekend.
Yeah, they kick off at the Hamlin Invitational, and it will be different not having Liz dive for them, but a lot of solid returners are back for both the men and the women, and Mark Ross is, you know, the top male coming back, and he should have a really great year this year.
All right, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest here on HBC. Thanks for watching Channel 25.